All right. Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. So it is 6:30. We're gonna go ahead and get started. Hopefully, this lighting is a little bit better than what I can see. All right, so you're here for the Have You Named Your Children Superhero Yet? We're gonna go over the 6 common mistakes when naming legal guardians. If you see me looking off, it's because I have multiple screens. I want to make sure that everything is, you can see what I need you to see. So, just in case you're wondering if you're in the right place, let's go ahead and check. If you have minor children or know someone who has children, you're in the right place. If you do not have children or are thinking of having children, you're in the right place. If you have named godparents and think that you have legally named guardians for your children, you are definitely in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started. I usually like to start off my webinars with a quote. I find that quotes are very encouraging to me, and sometimes you just need to encourage yourself. So hopefully this will do the same for you. So the quote for this one is, and you can read it along with me: every child deserves a champion, an adult who has never given up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists they become the best they can possibly be. So that's by Rita Pearson. And if you've been in my webinars before, you know I always have this disclaimer. You probably know it verbatim, but come on and say it with me. So I am an attorney licensed in Maryland and the District of Columbia. However, I am not your attorney unless my firm has an engagement letter signed by you or your agent and myself. So this webinar is for informational purposes only and does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. Well, let's get that out the way, right? Those logistics. So who is Michelle Bell? Yes. So I am a wife of 15 plus years. I know I can't believe it, but yeah, I am. I'm a mother of 3 children. I have one daughter who's 23. I have a son who is 14 and another son who is 12. I am an awesome daughter-in-law because my in-laws live with me. We're all in this house together. So it's never quiet. It's fun, but everybody has their neutral corners when they need it. I am a sports fanatic. I grew up watching sports. I grew up playing sports, and it's the same here. I love watching it. Not playing it as much. Last time I played, ultimate frisbee, the parents won against the kids. However, I stepped in the hole and got a little bit injured. So, it comes with age. I am the first lawyer in my family, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. It is a blood type. It is always in me. It is a blood type. I will never deny that. And I started college at 17 years old. Yes, I was that young and literally had just turned 17 that summer. So yes, my whole freshman year, I was 17 years old. And when I graduated at 20, couldn't even buy myself a drink for congratulations. But I turned out all right. All right. So have you named your children superhero yet? Why are we here? So superheroes come in all shapes and sizes. So have you picked one to raise your children should you get into an accident or pass away? If you have picked a superhero to raise your children and something happens to you, have you listed 2 alternate people? The last thing that you want to do is name a guardian for your children, but the person either says no or the court says no to that person you chose. So if you are in a coma or have died, you don't know that the person you named said no or that the court determined the person was ineligible to care for your children. So we're going to try to avoid these type of situations, and we're going to go over the 6 common mistakes that people make when naming legal guardians for your children. Now, if you made any of these mistakes, it's okay. Don't feel bad. There are lawyers out here right now making the same mistakes. But now that you are here and know me, you won't be one of those people, and you can correct the mistakes that they've made and you've made. So, mistake number 6. It is naming a couple to act as guardians. So let me ask you a few questions. If you want your best friend to be your children's guardian and she's married, do you feel pressure to name both her and her spouse? What if you don't really want to put the spouse down because you don't trust them around your children or for some other reason? Do you still put them down as a guardian so you don't make your best friend upset or feel uneasy? Well, it turns out that you don't have to put the spouse down, and the reason you give your best friend, it can be because of legitimate questions and concerns. So the questions that you should be asking yourself if you name the couple as guardians is, if the couple breaks up, separates, or divorces, who do you want your children to stay with? How about if one of the partners in the couple dies? Do you want your children to be with the surviving spouse? So here's a tip. If you name a couple to act as guardians for your children, make sure that you name which one of the partners in the couple you would like to care for your children should they break up, separate, divorce, or die. You don't want your children caught in a custody battle, especially if they have already lost you as their parent. Don't pile on the trauma. Naming guardians properly can help ease some pain and allow your children to just grieve your absence, whether it's because of incapacity or death. So incapacity is when you're unable to make decisions for yourself. So you can be in a coma, you can have dementia, you're still alive, you just can't make decisions for yourself. So that's mistake number 6. Now we're going to mistake number 5. Only naming one possible guardian. So, what if something happens to your first choice? Or, even worse, what if your first choice says no? Then what? You can't force them to take care of your children. If your only choice says no or is unavailable because of an illness, incapacity, or death, then the court can step in and decide who gets to take care of your children. Do you want to leave that decision up to a judge that doesn't know you, your family dynamic, or core values? So here's a tip. Name at least 3 people that you want to be guardians for your children. Name them in succession order, with your first choice having priority and the other 2 are alternative ones. So you have your first choice, and then you have who would be next if that first person's unavailable. Then you have a third person if those first 2 are unavailable. Rarely would all 3 people say no. If they do, you rather know that now than once you're unavailable because of illness or you've passed away, right? But pick people that you know will be okay. Mistake number 4. Aren't these little guys cute on here? My little superheroes. So mistake number 4, not putting aside financial resources. Children are not free or cheap. They are cute expenses. So some people view their children as their broke best friend. It's for a reason. If you're going to name guardians for your children, you can't expect the guardians to just pick up the financial burden and take care of your children. They may not have those resources. You should have money put aside for your children's care. One way could be a life insurance policy with a trust as the beneficiary. Ideally, you want a different person over the finances than the person who is caring for your children. That helps protect some of the assets. Here's your tip. Your guardians should not be the financial decision maker for your children. All right, we're coming down here. Mistake number 3. Only having a will. So yes, wills require your family to go through the court process known as probate, which can not only be lengthy and expensive, it's also completely open to the public and frequently creates ugly conflicts among your loved ones. Wills don't offer you any protection if you become incapacitated. Remember, you're unavailable, you can't communicate, can't make decisions on your own. So they don't offer you any protection if you become incapacitated by illness or injury and are unable to make your own medical, financial, and legal decisions. Wills don't cover jointly owned assets or those with beneficiary designations, such as life insurance policies and 401k plans. Wills don't provide any protection or guidance for when and how your heirs take control of their inheritance. It's like a free-for-all. So naming guardians for your minor children in your will can still leave them vulnerable to being placed in the care of strangers. So basically, only having a will means the court will distribute your money, it's public record, and doesn't protect your money from the guardians, divorce, or lawsuits. You didn't think about that, right? So yes, it does. So here's your tip. Legally name guardians for your children outside of your will. Your will only kicks in when you pass away. What happens if you are still alive but in a coma? can't communicate, or you're incapacitated. Your will can't help you then. But actually naming guardians for your minor children in a separate document will help you. All right, mistake number 2, not excluding anyone. I bet you didn't think that you could exclude people. You can. So, everyone has that one person or a few that you definitely don't want taking care of your kids. I have a few relatives that I would not leave to care for my children if something happened to me or my husband. You can list those individuals so your family knows that under no circumstances do you want them in charge of your children. If one of those individuals contests your document that legally names your children's guardians, that exclusion list would be very helpful to the judge. So remember, you are either unavailable due to illness, you can't communicate, or you died. The judge would legally make the decision who is over your children without knowing who you are or your wishes without that document. The person or persons that you exclude could be people that the judge considers. So here's your tip: exclude anyone who might challenge your guardian decisions or who you know you'd never want to care for your kids. And we're coming down to mistake number 1. Guess what that is? Only naming long-term guardians. If you have people that you know you want to raise your children, if something happens to you, that's great. But keep in mind where they are located and how fast they can get to your children. What if the people you name live far away from your home and it would take several days to get there? If you haven't made legally binding arrangements for the immediate care of your children, it's highly likely that they will be placed with the authorities until those guardians arrive. You need to name short term guardians that can take your children quickly and hold them until your long term guardians can get there. You don't want your children to wait with authorities, strangers, or social services because that can be very traumatizing for them. You're unavailable because of illness or death, and then you have them sitting with police or social services. That can make the situation worse, and your children are already emotional. So, here's your tip: make arrangements for short term guardians as well as long term guardians. Think to yourself, what if you were in an accident? What would happen in those immediate hours until your permanent guardians could arrive? Permanent guardians, long term guardians, okay? And make sure that the short term guardians that you pick know that you gave them this responsibility. This is not something you want to surprise people with. They can say no, and then you're in trouble. So, what do we do now? We're going to look at a real life story. So, I usually try to use a real life story to illustrate what I've talked about so you can see what can happen when these mistakes are made. That way, you can correct your mistakes and protect your children. So, what's that old saying? I know my grandmother used to say this all the time: when you know better, you do better. All right, so let's take a look at our story. So, this is the Summers family. You have a married couple, so you have Dave and Donna with their 3 children, Alex, Brooklyn, and Carter. Yes, I threw Brooklyn in there. I had to. So the entire Summers family decided to go skiing in the Poconos for like this long holiday weekend. You know, winter's coming up, so this was the perfect scenario. So the Summers family decided to bring their friend Autumn with them skiing. You know, a lot of families do that. So Autumn is a longtime friend of the family. Autumn doesn't have any kids of her own, but she loves Alex, Brooklyn, and Carter just like they were her own children. And it starts as a really fun 3-day weekend on the mountain. Beautiful weather to start, and then dun, 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 a fog descended on the mountain quickly. Dave and Donna, who were all going downhill very, very fast, lost sight of each other because of the fog. And before you know it, Dave and Donna totally collide into each other. And now we've got a skiing gone bad scenario, right? It's like a total yard sale out there. Skis, poles, everywhere. Where are the kids? They're in ski school. So Dave and Donna are parents of minor children. What happens in an emergency situation with minor children whose parents are injured or missing? Ski patrol tends to Dave and Donna, because you know they've been called, it's a bad accident, And the first responders are helping out. So a first responder sees a picture of the beautiful Summers family in Dave's wallet. And now the first responder knows he needs to check in on the children to make sure they're safe. And the first responders decide to send Dave and Donna back to Maryland, to Maryland Hospital in Maryland on a flight for life. So they're not doing good at all. Autumn gets the children from ski school and plans to get them back to Maryland and stay with them as long as necessary. Autumn calls Donna's sister, Dee, in Texas to let her know what's going on. So Auntie Dee is on her way. Auntie Dee hops on a plane to Maryland to come be with her sister Donna and her niece and nephews. How long will it take Dee to get there? Can she get the next flight out today? Or is the first flight out not until tomorrow morning? So I guess Autumn will stay with the children in the meantime, right? So who gets the Summers children? Is it Autumn, the person that the children know and love, or is it Auntie Dee, who also loves the children and is Donna's sister? So you guys can go ahead and put it in the chat. What you think? Do we want Autumn? Do we think it's Auntie Dee? Who do we think it is? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Autumn. Let's see. Anyone else? I see an Autumn letting me know. Autumn. Oh, it's a lot of Autumns here. Okay. So let's jump right into the answer. In true lawyer form, it depends, right? So state laws play a big part in who gets the children when the parents have not legally named guardians for their children. Remember, Dave and Donna are still alive. They just can't communicate right now. So maybe a judge that decides who gets the children while the parents are in the hospital. Which with court comes a timeline. The court's emergency response time for a hearing on guardianship may not be in a couple hours. It might take a few days. So when the parents' wishes aren't legally made in writing and there are multiple people fighting for the children, the authorities may call in social services and have the children sitting in foster care until the court date. And the judge has had an opportunity to hear each side on why they should get the children. You now have a judge making a decision about your children, and the judge does not know you, your family dynamics, or values, or your wishes. But in this case, we have to make a decision. Should it be Autumn or Auntie Dee that gets the children? Now, keep in mind, you don't know. Auntie Dee looks good, but Auntie Dee might be, she might be one of those that toss it back a lot. No one knows. So in this scenario, answer is Auntie Dee. So I know that this may surprise you, but in some states, it turns out Autumn can't stay with the children. Only adult blood relatives can be the default temporary guardian when minor children are involved and the parents don't have any legal documents otherwise. So this means Autumn is disqualified. She is just a friend. This is obviously a huge problem. The kids know and trust Autumn and they are safe with her. If Dave and Donna could communicate, they would say, please keep our children with Autumn. We completely and totally trust her. But they can't communicate. So we are stuck in the no man's land wondering how long it will take Auntie Dee to arrive. If you are a parent of minors like I am, to me, this is the scariest question of all, because what is happening is going to be very scary for my children. So my children won't know what's going on and they won't understand who are these strangers. So I want to make sure that they are going to be in the care of someone I totally trust, who I know will love them. So naming godparents does not help. It's a myth. So naming godparents, it's a spiritual process and spiritual thing, not legal. Okay, so that doesn't help you. All right, so now let's see if you were paying attention. Which of the 6 mistakes did Dave and Donna make? Do you remember what they were? Hopefully you were taking notes. Go ahead and put it in the chat. Which mistakes do you think that they made? Someone said all of them. Oh, wait. Somebody said dying. I don't know if that's a mistake they made, but I mean, they did go skiing. They were going fast, and there was a fog. I mean, it wasn't a great decision. To okay, all right, good answers. Good answers. Not excluding D. You're right. Here we go. They didn't name a guardian number one because they didn't. They just went out there skiing with and brought Autumn with them, but they didn't name anybody. They didn't exclude anyone, and because of that, the court had to decide what was going on. So great job for paying attention. All right, so here are questions to ask yourself. Ready? 1, do I have minor children or know someone that has minor children? Have I named at least 3 guardians for my children? Have I listed short-term and long-term guardians for my children? Have I listed anyone I don't want to be with my children? So if you answered yes to all 4 questions, give yourself a high five and contact me so we can talk about how you did it and I can congratulate you. Now, if you answered no to at least 2 of these questions, you don't get to give yourself a high five, but be easy. You didn't know, right? But I have something for you. So you'll get a golden ticket. I feel like Oprah, remember that episode? She was like, you'll get a car, you'll get a car, you'll get a car. Hey, I feel like that right now. You get a golden ticket, you get a golden ticket, you get a golden ticket. So what is a golden ticket? And how can you get it? So golden ticket is like an actual golden ticket. You just get it electronically. And the way that you get it is you actually scan this QR code and you get to book a one-on-one meeting with me. Yes. And you don't even have to pay the consultation fee. Okay. So you do get to book the one-on-one meeting with me. We get to talk about naming the guardians because, we want to make sure all these kids are protected. Now, when you do book it, you need to put the code superhero in your booking so that I know you came from this webinar and that I know we're not going to attach fees to you. Okay. But you also get $750 off of legal services and you get to name your guardians for free. Like, that's a golden ticket. Again, I feel like that Oprah moment where she's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a golden ticket, you get a golden ticket. So, any questions? We have 8 minutes. Hopefully I did my job and everybody understands what's going on. You feel empowered. You're ready to go out there and name these guardians for your kids because you're just like, no, they're not going to go with drunk Auntie D. They're going to go with Autumn. She's going to treat them like, she knows exactly how we want our kids to be raised. She's going to treat them just like if they were hers. That's who we want. So you should feel empowered about it. You're not going to make these mistakes. And if you hear someone else making these mistakes, you can be like, that's not right. I spoke to Michelle Bell and she said, that's not right. So any questions? Any questions, or did I do my job okay? Thumbs up in the chat. I did okay? Okay, here's a question. Why wouldn't the guardian also be the one in control of finances? All right, so there are some people who list the same person over the kids and over the finances, but sometimes you need a checks and balance system. That's one reason it can be. The other one is you can actually have what we call asset protection when it's separated. So like I mentioned in my example, if the guardian who's over the kids, they have debt or they have, some other stuff going on and they have access to your kids' finances, that could be a problem. That doesn't necessarily mean it will, but it could be. But if you have that separation where this person is over the kid, this person is over the finances, that gives you a buffer and it helps protect your assets. Anybody else? Oh, thank you. Somebody wrote, thanks, great job. Thank you. I try. Any suggestions? I'm always open for suggestions. Nope. We're good. Okay, so I just want to let you know next time, I do these monthly. So next month is October. You know how I am in October. What is that? Spooky Wine and Wills. I'm going to have my wine guy, LJ, on with me. I mean, this October is like the month to go crazy. We can talk about like so much death and everybody's okay with it because of Halloween. So join me. We're going to have fun. You know how I get when it's Wine and Wills. This one will be Spooky Wine and Wills. We're going to have an awesome time. We're going to sip some wine. I'm going to learn a little bit more, because LJ's trying to teach me, but it's going to take time. But you are welcome to join me on that. Look out for the link and registration and the advertisement for it. But it's been awesome and wonderful. Thank you for joining me on this webinar. And don't forget, use the QR code, book with me. You'll get your golden ticket. You'll get to talk to me. We'll, get to know each other, and we'll just go from there. So thank you.